Welcome to Thriving Entrepreneur with your host, Steve Kidd, third-generation minister and 30-year business coach. Listen in as amazing, world-changing authors, speakers, and coaches share their struggles and victories. And hear from best-selling authors' insight into how you too can live your life as a thriving entrepreneur.
This is Steve. Welcome to Thriving Entrepreneur. Thanks for being with me here today. I so appreciate you. Today, we want to talk about your wealth and happiness. Now, wealth can mean a lot of things, and it doesn't necessarily specifically reflect in how much money you have in the bank, although I hope we talk a little bit about that too, but also happiness. So what does it mean to truly live abundantly, and how does it look like? What does it look like when you're really, truly, genuinely happy? Can you have wealth and happiness? There's some people that would say, money is the root of all evil, rich people aren't happy, all of those kind of things. But the truth of the matter is that if you have real, true wealth and abundance in your life, you can also have happiness. And if you don't, there's something that isn't working exactly the way that it is, and you're definitely not living as a thriving entrepreneur. That is so important because we need to have that abundance, that wealth in our life, but also the happiness that goes around along with it so that we can be the thriving entrepreneur that we were meant to be. I want that for you. I hope and pray that as you listen to our guests today, that you will discover in your own life wealth and happiness as you are discovering how to be a thriving entrepreneur. With that said, let's jump in to our first guest. Join me in welcoming Dr. Noah St. John. Hey, Noah, how you doing?
Oh, great, Steve. Great to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. So great to have you back. So many books that we could talk about, but your latest book, The Seven-Figure Life, before we jump into that, for the people who don't know who you are, because they've been living under a rock or something, tell us a little bit about you and how you show up in the world.
Well, I'm known as the father of affirmations and a mental health coach to the stars. I'm also known for helping my clients who are, entrepreneurs, experts, coaches, chiropractors, health professionals, people, in the business world. I'm known for helping people make more in just 12 weeks than they made in the previous 12 months, while actually winning back 1 to 3 hours in their day and 4 to 8 weeks per year. So it's not only am I known for helping people make a lot more money. I mean, my clients have added over $2 billion since 1997 over the last 25 years. But more importantly, I think, is helping people really win their lives back. Because what good is having a lot of money if you don't have a life to enjoy it,
Absolutely. And you mentioned affirmations. That was, for people who want to go back and look it up, that was the last time we were together. That's what we were talking about. Yep. But talk to us today about The Seven-Figure Life.
Well, The Seven-Figure Life is one of my newest books, as you mentioned, and the subtitle is How to Leverage the 4 Focus Factors for More Wealth and Happiness. Now, so the reason that I wrote this book, well, one of the reasons, is because my clients ask me all the time. I work with clients, one-on-one and group coaching. I also do, keynote speaking for, groups all around the world. And one of the biggest topics that comes up, whether it's one-on-one or groups or in my keynote speeches, is this idea of focus. People are having so much trouble focusing because we live in a world of infinite distractions, right? At our fingertips, every second is a world of infinite distractions. I mean, you could watch cat videos on YouTube for the next 10,000 lifetimes, right? So there's so many distractions out there. So people are really having trouble focusing. And of course, that's hurting their productivity. It's hurting their income. And frankly, it's hurting their happiness and their fulfillment, their level of fulfillment. So really, that's why I wrote this book, The Seven-Figure Life, to show people how to leverage those 4 focus factors so that you can have more wealth and happiness. And, people are really loving it. I mean, getting a lot of 5-star reviews on Amazon, and people are really enjoying it.
Oh, I love that. So tell us briefly, because they got to get the book to read all of it, what the 4 focus factors are.
Absolutely. And I love to do it as an example. All right. So like when I'm doing my keynote speeches or working with my clients, one of the things I like to do is say, all right, I want you to imagine that I give you $1 million. I'm going to give you $1 million right now. And I was like, oh, great. Okay. I said, but there's just one catch. And they're like, well, what's the catch? The catch is You have no time to enjoy it. Okay. Does that sound like a good deal? And you're like, well, they'll be like, well, not really. That's not a great deal. No. Okay. It's not really great because you have no time and, way too much to do in too little time. So no, that's not really a great deal. Okay. I tell you what, I'll give you $1 million, but you have to be sad, miserable, and unhappy all the time. Sound good? No, that doesn't sound very good. Okay. I tell you what, I'll give you $1 million and you have to be all alone and you have no relationships and nobody to enjoy it with. Sound good? No, none of that sounds any good, right? So that's what I want people to realize. And that's how I explain these 4 focus factors. So the 4 focus factors that I show you in the book, The 7-Figure Life, is time, the 4 focus factors are time, energy, relationships, and money. All right. So when you have an abundance of those 4 focus factors of time, energy, relationships, and money, and by the way, it's really easy to remember because that spells the acronym TERM, TERM, right? So it's like a term paper that you wrote in high school or college, except this is a fun kind of term paper that you really want to have in your life and your business and really have it right away.
Oh, I love that. That's a good way of putting it too, because what good is it if you have the money and you're just a miserable wretch? And we've all met people that have a lot of money, but you wouldn't want to spend 2 minutes with them.
Indeed. Yes, indeed. Well, and that really is it, because, when people hear the title, The 7-Figure Life, they figure, oh, it's all about money, and all Noah cares about is money. I'm like, well, if that's all I cared about, then I wouldn't be writing about these 4 focus factors, because, there are many decisions that we make in life, right? But we have to weigh all of these 4 focus factors, in my opinion, when you're making decisions, like when you're going to be hiring a new person, or when you're going to be starting a business or growing your business or scaling your business or whatever it might be. You have to take into account these 4 focus factors. How is this going to affect my time? How's this going to affect my energy? How's this going to affect my relationships? And how's it going to affect my money? Now, really quickly, I grew up poor in a rich neighborhood, so I know what it's like to not have money. And let me tell you, there's nothing good about not having money. It truly sucks. So, as people say, that money is the root of all evil and all that stuff. Listen, I've been teaching about how to get rid of that, as I call it, head trash about money for 25 years now. But I still want people to realize that as important as money is, time, energy, and relationships are just as important. And frankly, the most important one that people forget about is time. And why is that? Because we don't get any more. Energy can always be replaced. Relationships can be replaced or improved even. And money can always be replaced. The way that money works is you have some and everyone else has all the rest. But the one thing that we can't get more of is time. All of Bill Gates' billions can't buy 1 minute of yesterday. And yet, isn't it ironic that time is the one thing that we all think we'll have an infinite amount of? So time is the one thing that we have to really learn how to leverage, just for that reason, because we can't replace it.
So with that said, a lot of times people will judge themselves over doing things like, taking a day off. So how do we do it so that we're in balance, we're not just driven working 24/7 because, we only have a limited amount of time?
Well, that's absolutely right, Steve. And, I talk about the hustle and grinders, the hustle and grind crowd, the Lambros, as I call them. It's like, oh, you got to be the hustle culture, and, you got to be working 14, 16, 18, 20 hours a day, and if you're sleeping, you're a loser. If you're not working on Christmas Eve, then you're a failure. And I'm like, are you nuts? Give me a break. I want a life. Yes, money is important, as I just stated, but my goodness, I want a life, because what the heck good is money if you don't have a life to enjoy it? And really looking at the time, the energy, and the relationships, those are all so important for that exact reason. And so, talking about taking a day off or a week off, or, for example, I'll give you an example from one of my clients. I was talking with one of my clients, his name's Charles. And I said, Charles, if we don't put these things in place for you, how much do you think you're going to lose this year? In other words, how much do you think it's going to cost you if we don't really, put these in place for you? Without batting an eye, he said $1 million. No, I'm easily going to lose out on $1 million if we don't get this in place. And I said, you know what? I hear that all the time. People say to me all the time, no, if I don't fix this problem, if I don't get this fixed, it's going to cost me $10,000, $50,000, $100,000 a month. That's anywhere from 6 to 7 figures a year. So, these are a big cost. And I said, I tell you what, just give me 10% of that $1 million. You give me 10% of that million and I will find you that $1 million in the next 12 months. Now, he looked at my case studies and all the people I've helped to add 6 and 7 and 8 figures. And, he'd read my books and he was like, that sounds good. That's why I love working with high achievers, because they make decisions quickly. They don't dilly-dally. He said, sounds good. No, let's do it. So he paid me $100,000 to coach him one-on-one. I mean, that's 10% of $1 million, right? So I coached him. I walked him through the processes that we use. And I didn't find him $1 million in the next 12 months. I actually found him $1.8 million in 10 months. So just by putting these things in place, by leveraging these 4 focus factors, he was able to make a lot more money. But what was even more exciting was he sent me an email. I said, hey, guess what, Noah? I'm on vacation right now. I'm taking a 7-week vacation with my wife. We bought a new RV and we're driving all around the Southeast and we're just having a great time. So Noah, not only am I making so much more money, I also have way more time than I ever did.
I love that. You were talking about the fact that you can help a person make more money in 12 weeks than they make in an entire year. Does that include still having a balanced life and taking days off during that 12 weeks? Or is it really kill yourself for 12 weeks so that you can take the 7 weeks off?
I never really talk about balance with my clients, whether it's one-on-one or group coaching. We never balance. That word balance never comes up. And I think because once you start to leverage these focus factors, the 4 focus factors of time, energy, relationships, and money, the balance just sort of happens. So I don't teach work-life balance, even though, some people probably say that I do, but it just sort of happens. And I don't believe that you have to just be working like a mad person, for 12 weeks in order to make that money in 12 months. Quite frankly, what it really comes down to is just these 2 elements that I've been teaching my clients for over 20 years now. And that is inner game and outer game. Now, inner game is everything that happens between your ears that you can't see directly, but it affects everything that you do, right? That's your beliefs, your thoughts, your desires, your priorities. Those are things you can't see directly, but they affect everything that you do. And yet most people haven't been taught how to master their inner game. Well, that's what I've been teaching for over 20 years now. And also you have to have your outer game in place. That's the systems and strategies, offers, funnels, traffic that really it takes in order to build that, wealthy lifestyle. So it's only when you put these 2 things together, inner game and outer game, that's when you get to that, high level of whether it's 7 or 8 figures or whatever it might be for you. I'll give you a quick example of that. I was working with another one of my clients named Adam, and he has a company, a software company. It had been stuck at 4 million in revenues for 4 years. So, 4 million is, good money, right? But he couldn't grow it. It just wasn't growing. And he had spent hundreds of thousands of dollars. He'd spent all this money on marketing and gurus and all those guys. He spent, coaching and whatever, and nothing was helping. So he heard me speak at a conference and he hired me on the spot. That's why I love working with high achievers. They make quick decisions. And so I coached him on, the inner game and outer game. In the next 18 months, we took his company from 4 million in revenues that had been stuck there for 4 years to over 20 million in less than 18 months. And you know what's ironic about that? We spent 95% of our time on inner game. Nobody had sat down and just showed him exactly how to master his inner game. That's the reason he was stuck at that level. And that's why we were able to get him what I like to call hockey stick growth, just going along, and then whoop, all of a sudden goes through the roof.
I love that. And for the people that are listening, because I've followed your stuff for years, so they may not have caught this, but for the people that are listening, one of the core principles that you've always taught, you're using while you're talking, because you said, that's why I love working with, and then you went into that whole thing. That is totally an affirmation. That's totally a Dr. Noah St. John.
Yes, indeed. It is indeed.
I love it. So let's talk a little bit about what is something that somebody just listening today can do, okay, now they've got the acronym term, what's something they could do other than, of course, they need to get the book, but what's something they could do right now to take action on to begin to live that 7-figure life in their own life?
Absolutely. And this is one thing that I love to work with my clients on, whether it's one-on-one or group, but this is something that you can do right now, everyone listening, and that is take your freedom temperature. Now, here's what I mean. Let's say you're, not feeling so hot and you go to the doctor. Well, what does he do? The very first thing he does is take your temperature. So that's what I do with my clients. And so this is a little bit different, of course. It's your freedom temperature. So here's all you do. I want you to look at those 4 elements that I've been talking about and that I show you in the book: time, energy, relationships, and money. And I want you to rate yourself on a scale from 1 to 10 of how stuck or how abundant you feel in each of those areas. So if you're saying, gee, Noah, I've too much to do and too little time. I don't have any time. Well, then you rate yourself on a 1. If you say, man, no, I've got all the time in the world, you rate yourself a 10. Same with energy, right? Oh, I got lots of energy, 10. No, man, no, I really don't have a lot of energy. Okay, that's a 1. Relationships, how are your relationships doing? Both your personal and your business relationships, scale of 1 to 10. And money, how you doing on money? Do you have the money that you want to either grow your business, scale your business, do the things that you really want to do when you want to do it, right? Scale of 1 to 10. So you add up all those numbers, and that's your freedom temperature. So you can do that literally right now in the next 30 seconds. And what you're going to find is that you're going to get a number between 4 and 40. 40 would be, of course, a perfect score. 4 would be not so hot, right? And so here's what I always tell my clients. If you rate yourself, your freedom temperature, anything under 20, we got to get you to the ICU. That means you need emergency care right now. So go get the book or contact me on my website, or go to noahstjohn.com or breakthroughwithnoah.com. Those are a couple of our websites. You can just contact me, and we got to give you emergency care, because anything under 20 means, you're just not leveraging these 4 focus factors. And that means you don't have the time, energy, relationships, and or money that you really, really want, and frankly, that you deserve in your life.
I love that. So when a person jumps in the ICU because they haven't read any of your books, and so they rated themselves a 4, what are they looking at to be able to get the emergency doctor to wait on them and take care of them right immediately?
Well, we do. We have one-on-one coaching programs, and we have group coaching. We have a program called the 12-week breakthrough, where I do help you make more in just 12 weeks than you did in the last 12 months while winning your life back. I had one woman come through the program. She's an entrepreneur in Arizona, and she was doing okay, but and she's a self-described seminar junkie. She'd gone to all these different programs and was still hitting an income ceiling. She tripled her investment in the first 2 weeks of coaching with me. 2 weeks, she tripled her investment. We hadn't even gotten to the money part yet. So that's just an example of how it can work. So you can go to breakthroughwithnoah.com and actually just watch an 11-minute video on how I help people make more in 12 weeks than I did in the last 12 months. And then you can just book a breakthrough session with me or one of my coaches. All of that's at breakthroughwithnoah.com. We have books, we have coaching, we have one-on-one group coaching, we have do-it-yourself programs. So we have lots and lots of resources available to help people really give them that emergency care that they really need.
So the latest book, again, it's called 7-Figure Life, correct?
Yeah, the 7-Figure Life. That's right.
Okay. For a person who's new in your realm, especially the people who need to be in the ICU right now, should they start with that book, or is there a different one of your books they should
absolutely. What's really nice is a lot of my longtime readers who read, all of my books that come out are giving me really nice 5-star reviews on Amazon for this new book, The 7-Figure Life. And they're saying, no, it just keeps getting better. And, this is new stuff, and it's not just the same old regurgitated content, which of course, that's what I've been, wanting to do. And I've been putting out original content for over 25 years now. But yeah, you can go to 7figurelifebook.com. So the number 7, 7figurelifebook.com, and actually just order the book there. And then when you go back to that page, when you go back to 7figurelifebook.com, enter your order information, and I will actually give you $300 worth of free bonus gifts just because you heard me on this program. So just go to 7figurelifebook.com, order the book, and enter your order information. I'll send you some really awesome free bonus gifts because you heard me on this program.
Oh, and you're going to want every single solitary one of those. So Noah, before we go, just give us some words of encouragement.
Well, I grew up poor in a rich neighborhood, and at the age of 25, I decided to commit suicide. I decided to take my own life because I was so depressed and frustrated. I've been working really, really hard and really had nothing to show for it. And at the last moment, my life was spared, and I didn't know why at the time. It took me 5 long years to find what is my purpose here on the earth. And once I found it, that's what I've been doing for the last, over 25 years now, which I'm very privileged and very fortunate to be able to do, is help people all around the world, over 140 countries, and adding billions of dollars in new revenues. So I want people to realize that help is available. There is help. You're not alone. I've been teaching mental health for over 25 years now. But 5 years ago, you couldn't even talk about mental health. And I've been teaching it for 25 years. And I'm like, Thanks for showing up to the party, guys. So there really is help available. You're not alone. Do your research, reach out, get the help you need, because help is available.
Got to get the book. Again, give us that URL.
sevenfigurelifebook.com.
Perfect. Noah, thanks so much for spending some time with us here on the show today.
It's my pleasure.
Oh my gosh, I could go on for the rest of the show just blathering on about how amazing Dr. Noah St. John is. You got to get his book, The 7-Figure Life. You need to check out his stuff. Check out the programs he has. They will help you find both wealth and happiness in your life as you are on your journey to live as a thriving entrepreneur. We're going to take a commercial break and we'll be right back here on Thriving Entrepreneur.
If you're an author who's on a mission, stand out with your brand out. Check this out, guys. Yep, everything's marketing, and marketing is everything. Your existing book can become a best-selling book, or even, hey, like mine, a #1 international best-selling book in 5 days. Listen, if your business isn't known by everybody, it's obscurity, and that's death, right? The same thing is true for your book. If you're not happy with the way your book is performing, you got that far, and then it just fell off the face of the planet kind of feeling, go to yourbestsellertoday.com. Schedule a talk with Steve. It's risk-free, it's guaranteed, it's proven. We've done it thousands of times. What are you waiting for? Yes, yourbestsellertoday.com. This time next week, you could have a beautiful seal on your book and get the attention that you deserve. Reach the people that you came to serve. Come on now. What are you waiting for? Grab a pen. Here we go. All you got to do is book a call. Yourbestsellertoday.com. Go to yourbestsellertoday.com. Book a talk with Steve. It's proven. It's guaranteed. It's going to happen. All you have to do is say yes to your destiny.
Welcome back to Thriving Entrepreneur.
This is Steve. Welcome back. Thanks for listening to Thriving Entrepreneur today as we talk about your wealth and your happiness. How can you attain both? How can you have those in your life simultaneously, ongoingly? What are some of the kind of things you need to do? Now, we talked in general about the things that you need to generate that kind of life. Now we want to talk about a little bit more specific. How do you manage your money? What are some aspects of that? Maybe you even need somebody to come in and help you with it. What are the things that you can do monetarily with inside of your money and your resources to live in wealth and happiness so that you can be a thriving entrepreneur? Think about that as we listen to our next guest. Join me in welcoming Ryan Kimmler. Hey, Ryan, how you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me, Steve.
Thanks for being here with us today. So tell us a little bit about you and how you show up in the world.
Sure, absolutely. So my background is actually in accounting and finance. And today I own and run my own firm, and I work with small business owners, and I operate as their part-time CFO. And I'm sure I'll get into, what a CFO does and how they help businesses grow. But that's really a good summary for me is, my background, again, like I said, is in accounting and finance, and I really operate as a part-time CFO remotely for small businesses.
So with that kind of position, do you have the capability to pretty well scale to as many people as would take you in, or is there a limit? How does doing that from a remote position, how does that work?
Yeah, so there would definitely be a capacity, that I would cut it off. I could probably only work with maybe 15 business owners at a time, me personally. I am getting ready to hire some staff and add some capacity that way. So, I do plan on, continuing to add more businesses, continuing to work with more businesses, and really, help them out.
Perfect. I love that. So it may be a new concept to people. Give them an overview of what having a remote CFO that's part-time in your company, what that would look like and how you can help them.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I think a lot of business owners, if I say CFO in a room or anything like that, right, the first thing that probably comes to mind is they're jumping to the big companies, right? The Googles, the Apples, Microsofts, all those kind of Coca-Cola, whoever, right? All the big companies of the world, right? And they're probably thinking that, oh, well, that big company needs a CFO because they've got a lot of financial things going on, right? But in reality, a CFO, their job really consists of three different parts, right? So the first thing is, they're in charge of tracking revenue, profit, and cash flow. And that's part number one. And then number two is analyzing the business's strengths and weaknesses from a financial standpoint, right? So they're going to look at all the financial reports, all the financial data. They're going to do kind of their analysis, and they're going to pick out the areas where the business is kind of weak, right? And then the third thing that a CFO really does is they help the owner, with strategic planning, right? And they're proposing corrective actions for the weaknesses, right? So once they've kind of dug through and done their analysis and found all the weaknesses in the business from the financial standpoint, then they're proposing corrective actions. And so, what that really looks like from my side of things when I'm working with clients is, I really try to make the financials easy, right? I know for a lot of business owners, accounting and finance is not your expertise. And, that's really my job, is to show up and make things easy. And so the best way that I've found to be able to do that is typically building out some sort of simple one-page financial dashboard, financial scorecard, whatever kind of terminology you want to throw around. But at the end of the day, right, it's 10 or 12, maybe 15, really important numbers that are driving the results in the business on one page that's color coordinated, green, yellow, red, right? Obviously, green are numbers that are on track and doing well. They're where we want them to be. Yellow is, hey, maybe this number is not quite on track, but it's not the most important thing to fix right now. And then usually what happens is there's a number or two that ends up in red that's really not on track for the business, that I would classify as a weakness that needs to be turned around and corrected. And so when I do all the analysis work before I meet with my clients, and I bring the one-page scorecard to the meeting, right? And it's all filled out, it's all done, it's all color coordinated. And I'm going over those key numbers with the business owner that I'm working with. And then from there, I said the third part of my job is or the CFO's job is to propose corrective actions. And so then the next thing that we'll build out after we, kind of go over the scorecard, we review the numbers, we will build out an action plan so that the business owner has very clear direction with, important next steps that they can go and complete in order to turn their red numbers around. So, I'm really, from an outside perspective, I'm really able to take care of all three pieces for a small company. Doing the analysis, finding the weaknesses, using the scorecard to really display those weaknesses and really go through and explain why they're weaknesses, and then using the action plan to propose corrective actions so that the business owner has got good direction over the next 30 days until we meet again. And so every business owner that meets with me and works with me, they end up leaving the meeting with two simple one-pagers, right? One that's their scorecard that's got all their financial numbers on it. The second one that's their action plan that really tells them what's important to get accomplished in the next 30 days.
Oh, I love that. I think all of us at whatever level we're at wish we had that in front of us at the beginning of every month. I know some people are lucky and they have it, but a lot of us are like, man, I got to do that myself.
Yeah. And it can become really consuming. Yeah. There's a lot of data to go through for sure.
Well, that's cool. So, is it a kind of thing where, especially the first month or two, you end up needing to charge the person a little bit more because it's such a disorganized mess that it takes you a little extra time? Or do you just have like a contract that goes 6 or 12 months, and so you endure the mess for the first couple of months and then it balances itself out?
Yeah, good question. So for the most part, most of my engagements, I try to keep them all flat rate, right? So they're really consistent for the business owner. And then, if there really is a mess, then that's got to be one of the first couple of things on the action plan that we've got to get that really taken care of and cleaned up. And so, to answer your question, I try, like I said, I try to keep things flat rate. And for the most part, I don't do long-term contracts. Everything is month to month. I'm showing up and we're having our meetings every month and really, proving my worth and showing you in the numbers, the changes that we're making. And in most scenarios with small business owners, I end up more than paying for myself. So I really make it a no-brainer for business owners to be able to work with me, given that they're the right size and they're in the right position to do so.
So that brings up a really great point. You said right size and in a position to do so. How does a person know when they're there? I mean, like, are there things that it's like, do this first and then let's move on to using my services? What is the place where a person isn't ready for your service?
Yeah. So I think from a size perspective, right, probably doing at least $500,000 a year in revenue is probably where you need to be just in order to be able to really, afford me it and have it make sense, right? I want a good return for the business owners that I'm working with. And so, approaching that $500,000 in sales a year is really the mark where we can start looking at, having you work with me, as an outside CFO. And the other piece is just, really having good books and good bookkeeping in place, right? I mean, I could definitely help if that's needed, and connect you with a couple of referral partners that I've got to get those things cleaned up. But those are a couple of things that I look at. If there's like a major problem, then, I'll let you know, hey, this is going to be several. And most of the time, this is not the case, right? I've only seen this like maybe once or twice. But if there is a major problem, then it's probably going to be several months before it makes sense for us to work together, just because it's going to take some time for the bookkeeper to get things cleaned up. But for the most part, the biggest thing is just making sure that the business is the right size, doing at least $500,000 in sales. And then, a really good fit to work with me is just, if your profits are not strong. And when I say strong, I'm talking a minimum 20 to 25% net income, is really what I'm shooting for at a bare minimum with the business owners that I'm working with. To ensure that we've got good cash flow after that net profit. And so, if you're operating a business and you're less than that 20 to 25% net income, you probably need the help of a CFO or, myself, my firm, whatever, just so that you can really have some help diving in and finding those inefficiencies so that your business can operate, more healthy.
So for a person, I know there's got to be several that are really excited about this and would love to have a chance to work with you or talk to you more. How would a person go about getting in contact with you and finding out more about your services?
Yeah, absolutely. So, easiest way is simply netprofitcfo.com. That is really the easiest way to find me. And then in the upper right-hand corner, I do offer, a free 30-minute profit acceleration session. We'll kind of dive into your business and I'll help you, find some inefficiencies, improve your profits in any way that I can. And then, if it's a right fit and I really think that I can help you, then from there, we'll probably look at doing some sort of, I've got a free financial assessment that I'll do for business owners as well. But yeah, definitely the easiest place to find me and start working with me, netprofitscfo.com. You could also Google my name, Ryan Kimler. Last name is spelled Kimler. You're probably going to find me on a few podcasts and LinkedIn as well. They always do a good job with the Google searches. But the best way to get in contact with me is just my website. Like I said, netprofitcfo.com, and my calendar is right on the homepage that you can book a call with me.
Perfect. I love that. So before you go, give us some salient advice. What would be the one thing that you wish every business owner knew and would do to make your life easier?
Oh man. The one thing that I wish that they knew, I don't know if I can narrow it down to one. I'm gonna cheat a little bit here, and I'm gonna narrow it down to two. Number one is, when you hit six figures, you need to go out and find a good bookkeeper to work with. In today's age, with Zoom and after the pandemic and all that stuff, there's a lot of really great remote bookkeeping companies that are out there that'll get your books done for a very reasonable price. And for the opportunity cost of a business owner, doing their own books, it just makes sense to hire one of these outsourced bookkeeping companies that really has an expertise at, being in the books and, getting the reports right. So that'd be the first thing. Second thing would be, I think every business owner out there, they all kind of want to scale, right? That's the kind of the it's the best thing, right? It's what everybody wants: more revenue, more sales, bigger company. And I can say that I think the second thing that would make my life a lot easier, that if business owners would do, would just be to prove the model first, right? And I get a lot of companies that come to me and they're $500,000 in sales, or they're $1 million in sales, maybe a couple $1 million in sales, and their net income is not 20 or 25%. And it's like, prove the model first and make sure that you can get to that net income level the way that you're operating. Because if you can't, it really doesn't make it as worth your while to scale, right? I always ask business owners, if you're going to add $1 million to your business in sales, right? Obviously, sales comes with more work because you've got to have people on the back end to really fulfill and provide the service, whatever business that you're in. So do you want to add $1 million in sales and add $1 million more worth of work and keep $80,000 out of that million? Or would you rather keep $200,000 or $250,000? That's the difference between having a 8% net income and a 20 or 25% net income. And so that would be the second thing, is just make sure you've proved out the model and make sure that the model is a high net income model before you really go into scaling your business and add more work. That'd be the second thing.
Well, I love that. Ryan, thanks so much for spending some time with us and sharing all your wisdom with us here on the show today.
Absolutely. Happy to do it. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Don't be ashamed to ask for help. In fact, do allow the people that are good at the things like accounting and stuff like that to come in and help you so that you can live as a thriving entrepreneur. Let's take another commercial break and we'll be right back here on Thriving Entrepreneur.
If you're an author who's on a mission, stand out with your brand out. Check this out, guys. Yep, everything's marketing, and marketing is everything. Your existing book can become a best-selling book, or even, hey, like mine, a #1 international best-selling book in 5 days. Listen, if your business isn't known by everybody, it's obscurity, and that's death, right? The same thing is true for your book. If you're not happy with the way your book is performing, you got that far and then it just fell off the face of the planet kind of feeling, go to yourbestsellertoday.com. Schedule a talk with Steve. It's risk-free, it's guaranteed, it's proven. We've done it thousands of times. What are you waiting for? Yes, yourbestsellertoday.com. This time next week, you could have a beautiful seal on your book and get the attention that you deserve. Reach the people that you came to serve. Come on now. What are you waiting for? Grab a pen. Here we go. All you got to do is book a call. Yourbestsellertoday.com. Go to yourbestsellertoday.com. Book a talk with Steve. It's proven. It's guaranteed. It's going to happen. All you have to do is say yes to your destiny.
Welcome back to Thriving Entrepreneur.
This is Steve. Welcome back. Thanks for listening to Thriving Entrepreneur today as we talk about your wealth and your happiness. We've had two great guests that have helped us look at some aspects of living in wealth and happiness. And we've got one more great person with a great message to talk to you about following your dreams, doing the things that you want to do, and thriving in the successful purpose that is your life and is you living as a thriving entrepreneur. With that said, let's jump in to our third guest. Join me in welcoming Joel Salomon. Hey, Joel, how you doing today?
Great, Steve. Thanks so much for having me. Appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks for being here. So tell us a little bit about you and how you show up in the world.
First of all, I'm a proud dad to two amazing, intelligent, caring, thoughtful daughters, Lauren and Morgan. I know they were just born yesterday, but they turned 19 and 17 2 weeks ago. And my company name is named after them. It's Sal Lore Moore. So SA for my last name, Lore for Lauren, Moore for Morgan. So that's most important in my life. I created my companies for them, to leave a legacy for them. And I started my career as an actuary. You may know the difference between an actuary and an accountant. An actuary looks at his feet when he talks to you. An accountant looks at your feet when they talk to you.
Okay.
You guys could laugh. That was a joke. Thanks. So yeah, I started, but what an actuary does do is calculates the premium you have to pay for your insurance policy, life insurance, health insurance, car, disability, home insurance, calculates your life expectancy. So I did that. I was working at an insurance company for a number of years, but my true dream was to be a money manager. And when I reached out to a lot of professional mutual fund and hedge fund managers, they told me one thing: you can't do this. You don't have the experience, you don't have the background, you don't have the education. So I tell my clients now, hashtag doubt the doubt, have faith in your dreams and desires. And that was my big lesson, because it literally took me 15 years after they told me, gave me doubt, because I incorporated that into my mindset. And though I did eventually achieve my dream 15 years later, I worked at Citi in 2008. Some of you may remember 2008 was not the best year in the stock market. So trial by fire, I managed to make a little bit of money as a long short stock and bond investor for Citi in 2008. And so I achieved my dream 15 years after having that goal. And a few years later, my whole division was laid off, which gave me the kick in the butt to start my own hedge fund called Salomon Capital. And in 2015, in December, I went to a personal development course. And two things happened at the course that completely changed my life. And now I call myself a prosperity coach, teaching people how to become financially free, teaching emerging entrepreneurs who are not yet generating significant income how to do that, and eliminate the roadblocks standing in the way of their financial freedom.
I love that. And you're the best-selling author of the book, 9 Money Rules Millionaires Use. Tell us a little bit about your book and what we can find in it.
The reason why I wrote that book is my first book, Mindful Money Management. I got comments from readers that there's a lot of great information. It was a memoir about my experience as a hedge fund manager. And there was a lot of good tips and tricks in there. Would I consider writing a book on those tips and tricks? And so that became the 9 Money Rules Millionaires Use. And to be open with you guys who are listening, and with you, Steve, I'm not a rules guy. So I wrote a book on rules, and I say right up front, I'm not a rules guy. So I'm okay with you guys breaking any rule. And so I'll tell you a few of the rules today. The first one is when you believe. Because what I teach my clients now is if you don't have the proper mindset, if you don't believe in yourself, you don't believe in your product, you don't believe that you're worthy of massive wealth, then, and if you don't believe in your investments, or if you're an investor, you're going to be buying when you should be selling and selling when you should be buying. So what I teach is to write down your level of belief in each investment idea or potential investment you are thinking about, or a current investment. And if you're not at least a 7, 8, 9, or 10, where 10 is absolute faith, you know you're going to make money, and 1 is massive doubt, there's no way in heck you're going to make money, then don't go there. So having a proper belief level is so critical in each investment and in your business. So that's rule number 1. Rule number 2 is trust your intuition. And I'm pretty sure there's no financial planner, financial advisor out there that'll tell you as an individual professional investor to trust your intuition. But as a former hedge fund manager, I will tell you that if I didn't trust my intuition, I would have made less money or lost money. So my clients ask me, Joel, how do you develop your intuition? So I say it's just like any other muscle. I used to go to the gym and do bicep curls. So to develop my biceps. So you develop your intuition by using it every chance you get. Say you live in Manhattan and you're on the subway platform and there's a local train sitting there and the express is coming in 2 minutes. What do? Local or express? Or express, local. What do? You trust your intuition. Now, every Thursday morning, I used to take my daughters to school, and we had options. We could take the local roads, we could go highway, or we could hitchhike. Just kidding. So normally, my intuition was telling me to take the highway, but one morning it was massively backed up with traffic, and my intuition is still telling me to take the highway, but my intellect said go local. And I listened to my intellect. Because I didn't trust my intuition, I saw the flashing lights, I heard the sirens. Because I didn't trust my intuition, it cost me a $150 speeding ticket. And to this day, my daughters tease me and call me Speedy Pants.
Very important.
That is trusting your intuition. Yeah. And I know in my life, every time I didn't trust it, I lost money. So let me just give you a quick investment example related to intuition. In 2008, in February, I'm managing money for Citigroup. And we did the analysis. We were shorting, betting that AIG, American International Group, was going to go down. We knew it was overvalued. And 3 months later, we had already made 25% on the position, which is a lot in just 3 months, annualized 100%. And my analyst came to me and said, he gave me the analysis and said, look, it's going back up. And so I looked at the analysis, used my intellect, and we got out. Now, 3 days later, the stock was down 5% more. And my intuition was screaming at me, Joel, it's going lower. So we got back in, we bet again, we shorted again, we bet it was going to go lower. And 3 months later, it's down 60%. We made 60% on our money by trusting my intuition. So write down your level of intuition as well as your belief in each investment idea. And again, if you're not a 7, 8, 9, or 10 on intuition, don't go there. That's rule number 2. Let me give you just one more exciting rule. Rule number 3 is, can happiness buy you money? Not can money buy you happiness, can happiness buy you money? On July 1st, 2015, I was on the Metro North train rolling into Manhattan when I got the news. A stock that we were betting that was going to go down was being acquired for a 30% premium. And I literally had a tear rolling down my cheek because I was in pain. I was about to lose millions of dollars of my investors' money. And at that moment, I felt like giving up. Have you felt that way? Felt like giving up? Felt like no matter what you did, it wasn't going to matter?
Absolutely.
So I could have given up that day, and it was massive losses for my investors. And for some reason, I don't know why, I put on an uplifting song, Ooh Child by the 5 Stair Steps. You know, ooh child, things are gonna get easier. Ooh child, things are gonna get brighter. And of course, the song didn't make me ecstatic, but it did stop me from crying. And I got into Grand Central Station. A few minutes later, was listening to the song as I got to my office. I took it off my headphones so that my colleagues could hear, because they knew it was going to be a terrible, terrible day. And I did some reflection throughout that day, put on some more uplifting songs, and realized that I didn't feel quite as bad when I was listening to these songs. And I started putting together a list in the days after of what could make me happy, unconditionally happy. And so I challenge listeners and you, Steve, to put a list together of what I'll call happy habits. What things can make you happy when, you know, something really terrible goes on in your life? Maybe it's uplifting songs, maybe it's going for a jog, or, you know, playing games with your daughters, you know, playing with the dog or cat, being in nature, meditating, journaling, visualizing, whatever it is for you that makes you feel a little bit better. And notice all those things have nothing to do with spending money. So I realized that day and in the weeks ahead that I could change my feelings to unconditional happiness. And a funny thing happened. Here's the punchline. So July was obviously not the best month managing money for my clients. August and September were better. In fact, we had our best 2 months in August and September relative to the stock market index. My fund was up 3%. The market was down 9%. We outperformed by 1,200 basis points over those 2 months. And I credit it to this day by having changed my feelings to happiness, unconditional happiness, putting all these practices in place over the coming weeks so that happiness can indeed buy you money. So I'll pause there with the first 3. If you guys want to learn more about the 9 money rules, you can find it on Amazon. You can find it on my website. It's a great book. A lot of people have told me it's changed their life. So love to change more people's lives if you guys want it.
That's amazing. So tell us, what kind of people do you prefer to work with, and where do we get started with you?
Great question. So I found that 70 to 80% of the people that I help are emerging entrepreneurs that are not yet making significant amount of money. And what I mean by significant is at least 20,000 US dollars a month. And when I say emerging entrepreneurs, it's people who either want to start a business and still working at their full-time job, or people who are starting their own business, or who have already started their business and in the first, say 5 years and are not yet making that 20,000 a month. So that's those are the core clients and potential clients. But I also teach. I'm not a financial planner. I'm not a financial advisor. All I do is teach, and I teach clients how to invest their money, be it in stocks or real estate. Those are 2 chapters in the 9 money rules. I also teach about manifesting and money manifesting techniques that have worked for me and have worked for my clients. In fact, my one-on-one coaching clients are up to $2.5 million of money manifested, and my Money Miracles membership members as of today are up to 1,099,000. So these techniques work. So you can find me at salamour.com, SALAURMOR.com, again, named after my daughters, Lauren and Morgan. I actually give everyone 30 minutes free, and I'll give one more free thing because rule number 6 in the book is giving. So listeners, text to the number 66866. If you text the number 66866 prosperity, it doesn't matter if it's capitals or small, prosperity, PROSPERITY, I will give them a free white paper called The 5 Mistakes New Millionaires Make. The 5 Mistakes New Millionaires Make. Now, even if you're not yet a new millionaire, act as if you are. I teach act as if you're already there. Get the white paper. It's absolutely free. So I'm giving you guys both of those free items today.
Well, thank you so much. Joel, thanks so much for spending some time with us here on the show today.
My pleasure, Steve. It was a great pleasure, great honor. Thank you so much for having me.
What are the key elements for you as a thriving entrepreneur to live in wealth and happiness, to enjoy the life that you have, to live thriving and truly free, to maximize while it's called today? Isn't that what I'm always bringing it back down to? Today's the day you've got. Today is the day. I love Dr. Seuss's book where he says, "Oh, the places you will go with shoes full of feet, with head full of brains and shoes full of feet. You'll never know the places you will go and the people you will meet." I love that saying, and I love for us to think about what can we do while it's called today to live as a thriving entrepreneur, to find true wealth and true happiness, so that even if we spent a ton of money yesterday and our bank account is feeling a little ouchy today, that we still know we're wealthy, we're abundant, we are prosperous, we're living exceedingly abundantly above all that we could ask or even think, because we have a plan for wealth and even more so, I think, happiness. There are a lot of people that are wealthy but are miserable. There are a lot of people that are happy but they can't pay this month's rent. Let's put them both together. Let's truly live and love and thrive in our wealth and our happiness, because you are uniquely brilliant. You were created for a purpose, and the world does need you. We need you to be the best you that you can be while it's called today, maximizing you and maximizing today, to live each day of your life as a thriving entrepreneur. I so want that for you. Thanks for joining me today. I hope that until we're together again next time, you have a great week.
Thanks for listening to Thriving Entrepreneur today. If you want to get your question answered, send an email to questions@wehelpyouthrive.com. We look forward to you joining us again next time.
If you're an author who's on a mission, stand out with your brand out. Check this out, guys. Yep, everything's marketing, and marketing is everything. Your existing book can become a best-selling book, or even, hey, like mine, a #1 international best-selling book in 5 days. Listen, if your business isn't known by everybody, it's obscurity and that's death, right? The same thing is true for your book. If you're not happy with the way your book is performing, you got that far and then it just fell off the face of the planet kind of feeling, go to yourbestsellertoday.com. Schedule a talk with Steve. It's risk-free, it's guaranteed, it's proven. We've done it thousands of times. What are you waiting for? Yes, yourbestsellertoday.com. This time next week, you could have a beautiful seal on your book and get the attention that you deserve. Reach the people that you came to serve. Come on now. What are you waiting for? Grab a pen. Here we go. All you got to do is book a call. Yourbestsellertoday.com. Go to yourbestsellertoday.com. Book a talk with Steve. It's proven. It's guaranteed. It's going to happen. All you have to do is say yes to your destiny.